Hello everyone, it's Dr. Sue. Welcome to The Short Answer. We have the wonderful opportunity of being at my home in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week, which is crazy, never gets to happen. And so we opened the door because we had a beautiful snowstorm last night and everything was covered with a white blanket this morning. And of course it's melting away because spring is in the air. Yes, time is on our side. Spring is in the air, and it is a wonderful time for us to be celebrating exactly that we are coming into a time of renewal, that we are resurrecting ourselves, that we are rising from the depths of winter and allowing ourselves to dive into what has occurred to us, what has been made present in the course of the winter, and going through the holy days and setting New Year's resolutions and intentions and getting clear on things like that, and coming through the winter months into a time that nature is supporting us in our own unfoldment. It's a most amazing time of the year, and one that I'm thrilled to be sharing with you in this moment in our short answer. As what we're speaking about today is our connection to earth, our connection to nature itself. There's a natural rhythm that's moving through your life, always, constantly, and continuously, and it's cycling. It's cycling through a process of creating something new and then birthing benefits from those new projects and new creations, and really receiving and being nurtured by these new ideas that we come up with and things that we take action toward manifesting. And then the graceful falling away of that when it's served its purpose and is no longer needed. And then we delve more deeply inward so that we can do it all again, that we can learn and evaluate and cognize and update and have new downloads and uploads and all that kind of thing, so that we are constantly evolving. There's a natural evolution that's been happening in the course of your life. And you may have recently felt like there's a real wobble that's happened. You may have currently or throughout the winter months felt like, what's it all about? Or really begun to question some things. Those are natural components to this time of the year's cycle, the season's cycle, to go inward, to be introspective, to reevaluate. And in the midst of that, oftentimes people will find themselves connecting to old insecurities or questions that they had earlier in their life that they thought that they had dealt with, and yet here they are questioning it again for some reason. And the purpose behind all of that is that there's a natural house cleaning that's going on in your life all the time. It is always setting you up for a higher and higher and higher evolution. As we go through this create, sustain, deconstruct, create, sustain, deconstruct cycle, and each time we come around the full cycle, we elevate, we raise our vibrational frequency. If we were able to forgive something that seemed unforgivable prior, if we were able to find a way of engaging or speaking into a situation without a charge inside, maybe for the first time. Maybe you're up against some old work things or some old friendship things or some old family things or some old wrestling with the self or God things that now something in the air is spurring you to remember, to recycle the thoughts again, to revisit the perspectives again. And what happens is we come around the bend and we have an opportunity to lean in, to be more than we were the last time we were in that setting, to be less defensive, to be more willing to see our role in something, or to be more willing to speak the truth into something that has just been hidden or has been protected or has been suppressed in some way. And so as we find ourselves being able to be more available, to be more accessible, to have greater access to the things that are stressful, the things that we really want to be able to live out loud about, the things that we really want to address or to pull forward into conversation, but previously we've not even had the conscious awareness to be able to speak into it. It just would kind of blur right past us, and then we would get down the road and recognize that I didn't ever get to say what I wanted to say, or I didn't lean in the way that I had planned on, etc. And so what happens as a byproduct of that is we end up with some angst inside. We end up with some hesitation or some frustration that kind of isn't attached to anything. It's just this, at least not consciously, it's just this kind of subconscious irritability or frustration or hesitancy. All of that is part of a cycle that's happening in your life. And it's trying to do this natural house cleaning. And so, we talk about spring cleaning. We talk about emergence again. And what happens in the midst of this cycle is the natural form of this re-emergence, this natural house cleaning that is taking place. Nature's on your side. It's encouraging you to go ahead and speak into that situation. It's encouraging you to allow the beauty and the new hope of birth, of a new crocus coming up out of the ground, up poking its head up through the snow, and seeing the bird, seeing the robin hop across the grass for the first time in many months again. That all of this is revealing to us this idea that life prevails, that there is an eternal, ever evolving unfoldment that's occurring, and it's meant to be happening inside of you too. This is the time for you to begin again, to begin anew, to allow something different to be happening through your system than you used to allow to happen through your system. Unknowingly, we would squeeze out possibility. We would just kind of try to live inside of this parameter, and it felt pressuresome, and it felt hard, and there was resistance, and it was difficult. And your first response to everything was, well, no, that's not going to work because of this. No, that's going to be hard because of that. All the while, what's trying to happen is a broadening of your own channel. We're not supposed to be squeezed down like that. We have to focus when in the coursework, we're working to quicken and to anchor and to pierce the veils in between these various levels of our own consciousness. We have to quicken to do that, but ultimately it is so that we can experience ourselves as this tremendously huge toric field flow that's engaging freely in life in every direction. And that freedom comes once we have concentrated at the core of our being. So previously, maybe last year, maybe a couple of years ago, maybe over the years, you've had a tendency to be more contracted, more restricted, more stringent and rulesy and that kind of thing. The invitation now is for you to say, what would it be like if I didn't have to do that? What would it be like if I didn't have to know ahead of time, if I didn't have to control the way things go, if I didn't have to do this and this and this and this and this and this and this in order to just feel safe? What if I just was? What if I was safe? What if this idea that a time of the year that it is being represented to me constantly and continuously, that there is only love, there is only life rebirthing itself. What if at that time of the year I was also encouraged to open up, to up-level my consciousness, to come even higher than my own primitive brain, and come up into the higher performing executive brain centers where we can operate as creators? What if right now, and it is, was the time to go for it, to risk it, to take a chance? It won't even feel like risking it if you do it now. There's a natural cleansing that happens in the springtime. And it's attempting to cleanse anything that you have falsely held onto as if it was required for you to hold onto it to keep it from happening again, etc. For instance, people hold grudges because they don't want that thing that happened to happen again. It's a super ineffective subconscious effort to control reality, to control our future life experience. So we hold a grudge and we don't forgive because we're afraid subconsciously that if we forgive, we're giving it permission to happen again. And that's not at all what's actually going on. To forgive is to just recognize, I'm fine whether you do that or not. I'm okay whether that ever happens again or not. Turns out I survived it the first time, in speaking in a means of logic and survivorship. At the very least, we can say, hey, we're here. We made it through. We can make it through again if it's going to happen. I certainly remember that when my mother passed, I felt like I could survive anything if I've survived this. Once I got through that, it was like, bring it, you know. It's kind of a backside of the model way of getting to it, but if that's where we're sitting at this moment in time for some reason that we can't really put our finger on, then I would invite you to just ask yourself, in this moment, are you okay? I mean, there might be this going on or this going on or this going on in your life, but right now, in this moment, if you check in, are you okay? The answer is probably going to be yes. Even if you're in pain, even if there's physical pain or emotional pain or strain going on in your life or your relationship or your workplace or whatever the case may be, right here in this instant, am I okay? The answer is probably going to be yes, because the truth is you are okay. And if we can start to recognize that, we start to tap into this vibrational frequency of nature supporting us. There is a constant ongoing support in your life. Are you tapping it? Are you tapping into it? Are you allowing it to be working for you? And so in this natural cleansing, this spring cleaning time, you may be tapping into all kinds of things that are a little less than ideal, not so fun, maybe some memories, maybe trying to work through something. The invitation is this. Can you show up to those kinds of vibrations this time differently than you have in the past? Can you allow it to be this year that you have less of a charge that runs through you when that happens? Can you be interested in the greatest good? Can you be interested in everyone winning instead of you putting up your dukes and fighting for what's rightfully yours, or fighting for some exchange on something, that trying to get them to see it your way? Can you just lay that down and truly be interested in the greatest good? Because if we're interested in supporting the greatest good, then what ends up happening is a stress-free unfoldment toward the greatest good. And so if we're interested in that, then even our own ideas of the way things should go might soften. They might stretch open. They might broaden. They might deepen some sense of self that you didn't even know that you weren't tapping into. So the invitation is this. Nature is on your side. It is a spring unfoldment that's happening. Certain circumstances are going to rise to your awareness. Certain ideas are going to ripple through your mind. And you're at a choice point with a new beginning. That choice point is, will you be able to respond differently, create differently this year than you were able to the last time these types of situations came up, the last time you thought of that circumstance or had that memory or engaged in this kind of a dynamic? Can you just reveal, without defending anything, without trying to be right or wrong, without allowing someone else's wobble to affect yours, but to just continue to breathe as we learn in the coursework through the body and anchor in your 4 anchor points, the way that we're teaching in the Energy Codes work, so that you can allow nature to be befriended, to work in your favor constantly, always, only, ever. There's the invitation. We're certainly going to dive into that and answering many people's questions that have been writing in since our last masterclass, and diving into these topics and with many, many specifics in just a few moments. So if you'll click on the link below, if you're not already a gold member and plugged into the masterclass, then do so now, and we'll be starting up in just a few moments. So many blessings to you all. Happy, happy spring. Namaste.